Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. I'm your host, Denise Salcedo, and it is my final show of 2021, everybody. The last and final AEW Dynamite of the year. Not the last AEW show because they still got Rampage, but the last Dynamite on TNT. And this show kind of gave us a lot to talk about. I was kind of hoping to come into today's show and be like, yeah, good show, good match. This was great. I was hoping for an easy breezy show, but instead they kind of gave us a whole bunch to kind of talk about. There were some surprises here today. We got Kyle O'Reilly's first match in AEW. We got an interesting segment with some interesting people, some interesting lines and promos, kind of a little bit of everything. Like this episode of AEW Dynamite felt like, okay, this is our final show. Let's just put a bunch of stuff in there, stir it all up, and see what happens. And that is exactly what we got here today. So we're going to go through AEW Dynamite and talk about all of the major moments, etc. As we get into this stream. I am going to run through things in a nice chronological format. It just makes things so much easier. But before we get started, as always, everybody, I do want to thank you so much for coming on to the show, for giving me a chance to come on here and essentially talk some wrestling with all of you here today. And also because this is my last show of 2021, I just want to say thank you guys so much for all of your support each and every single week. Coming on here 3 times a week has definitely been, a lot, but it's been so much fun because I've gotten to know so many of you. Even if I just know you by your usernames, I kind of feel like I know a lot of you guys already. So I just want to say thank you. Secondly, well, I don't think I had a secondly. Oh yeah. Okay, secondly, please feel free, as always, to take part in the chat. Send in your comments, your questions, or your statements. If you want to send in a super chat, you are more than welcome to send in a super chat at any point throughout the stream. Super chats do help me out very much. F4W Online does allow me to keep 100% of all the proceeds of all super chats, so I do welcome them, and I do appreciate them, and you do get your comment 100% guaranteed to be read on the air. And now, let's get into the show. Let's get into AEW Dynamite New Year Smash. We got our first super chat of the night. I want to give a shout out to M.A. Solko for kicking us off here today. M.A. says, classy journalists get invited on pre-shows, hack trolls get dunked by CM Punk. Okay, I was not expecting that to be the first super chat of the day, but it is true. That is something that we're going to touch on here today because CM Punk did kind of bury the Twitter trolls, everybody. We all know the Twitter trolls. We've seen the Twitter trolls. We all deal with Twitter trolls. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. You can have 0 followers, 5 followers, 1,000 million followers. That's not a number. But if you did, there are Twitter trolls everywhere, and CM Punk kind of buried some of them today. We will talk about that in just a second, but thank you so much to MA for getting us started. We got another super chat from Jake Larson. Thank you so much to Jake, who sends in a super chat saying, wish you the best for 2022. Thanks for being such a bright spot for me in 2021, and with all your amazing shows and funny tweets. Thank you so much. Thank you for thinking that I'm funny, because I worry about that every single day of my life. Jake, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very, very much. All right, guys, let's get into this show. Once again, feel free to send in super chats and I will read them on the air. We got another one from Skullified who says, Adam Cole on a pole match. Also love all of your work. For a second, I thought you were going to go into a rhyme. I thought you were going to say Adam Cole on a pole match and continue on with like a little riddle. So I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the punchline to this super chat. Thank you so much for sending it in. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, let's get into this wild show. I want to get your thoughts. I want to get your opinions. Oof, this is going to be fun. BTW, someone has a funny comment saying that Punk buried the fight chat. I've never been on the fight chat. Is the fight chat like really bad? I've never been on it, but usually whenever you are in a chat of a live show, and I'm not talking this show, like wrestling shows, and you don't know anybody there, and you're in the chat, you're going to see some interesting stuff, some very questionable stuff, and you're just going to be like, who are these people? Because there are people out there just pretty much saying anything and everything underneath the sun. It gets even worse if you are watching on like those illegal streams, because I used to have to watch SmackDown that way. It was terrible. And I would read some stuff in the live chats on the side, and I couldn't close the chat. Like I had no option to close the chat. And it was a nightmare, legitimately a nightmare. But anyways, that's not the point of this right now. We do have a super chat from Reggie Simmons. Thank you so much to Reggie, who says, let's get it started. Best post show of the year. No doubt. Thank you so much. I thank you. You have no idea how much work goes into putting on a podcast, especially ones that come out multiple times a week. But let's get into this, guys. All right, here we go. The opening match of the night, we had this big 10-man tag team match. And normally, like you guys, I don't know if I've said this before, but I'm usually not like that big of a fan of multi-man matches, because I always feel like once you get like, once you get like a 10-man tag match, like it's just, there's so much going on. You're only going to get a couple of spots. It's going to be like just I'm usually not normally a fan of these. So these are judged a little bit differently, at least in my eyes, for my personal taste. But anyways, we had Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Christian Cage, and the Lucha Bros. So literally all these guys teaming up together versus FTR, Matt Hardy, and Private Party. Now, I'm a fan of all of these guys, especially obviously, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Cage, and the Lucha Bros. All good stuff there. But the match itself was like pretty okay, given the fact that, again, you have 10 men in here. You're not going to be getting like this, like, I think depending on the way that it's laid out, you're not going to be getting this, like, a bunch of different stuff going on. So the stuff that I did like from this match was legitimately any time that you had the Lucha Brothers going in there, because the Lucha Brothers were really the ones that were kind of, doing all of the big spots, really doing stuff to make this match, a little bit extra. Obviously, there were, different spots throughout this match that I enjoyed. A lot of good stuff also from Jungle Boy, etc. Like immediately the second Jungle Boy came in, he went straight for the snare trap on Dax. That was quickly broken up, but it was really quick. And I like that he went for it right away, because that's the way that he has been winning matches. So I kind of like that he had that mentality. Obviously, we all knew that that wasn't going to be the end of the match, but I like the fact that he went for it right away, because instantly it was like, oh, he knows what gets him the win. Here he is, implementing that right away. I like seeing the Lucha Brothers double team Dax. That was a lot of fun. Really cool in this match. Rey Fénix, literally freaking amazing. And he hits an awesome senton atomico, which was really cool. Looked really, really nice. There were a couple of missed camera spots. There was a spot that Jungle Boy did and that Rey Fénix did, and I believe both of them were missed, because I do not recall seeing any of them. I know they happened, but I caught like the last tidbit of them. But I didn't blame them all too much for missing both of those spots, just because they were doing a bunch of other stuff on the outside. And that's what happens when you have so many different things going on. You're bound to miss a couple of things. So another thing that we saw some tension between Rey Fénix, the Lucha Brothers, and Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy. This is going to be leading into a match that we'll talk about in just a second, but we kind of saw some tension. We saw Rey Fénix tag himself in as Luchasaurus was essentially getting the work done in the match. They definitely did not like that, and that did lead to a backstage confrontation, which we'll talk about in just a second. But either way, we do see FTR get the win for their team. It was an okay 10-man tag team match. It was all right. This is leading to an actual match. Backstage, we do see the confrontation between Lucha Bros and Jurassic Express and Christian Cage, and we are going to be getting a match. They announced it. Hold on, let me see which one did they announce it for, because they announced so many matches. All right, so for the first ever AEW Dynamite on TBS, we are going to be getting the Lucha Bros versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus for the tag titles. This should be a hell of a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. This match really just set that up. If you guys have any thoughts on this 10-man tag team match, go ahead and send them in, and then we'll go ahead and move on to our next topic here. But I want to give a shout out to Amir F for sending in a super chat saying, "Private Party dancing to FTR's theme song popped me." Yeah, well, they all came out together. So, and I'm glad they did that because for a second, because everybody on the first team got all their individual entrances, and I thought, oh man, this is going to take a while if everybody gets their entrance, but it all worked out. Thank you so much to Amir for sending in that super chat as well. Also, I should give a shout out really quickly as the Cooge97 mentions, we got to see Jim Ross back tonight. Jim Ross was back tonight, and he also revealed that he is cancer-free on Twitter. He revealed that earlier in the day, so that was really nice to kind of have that news, especially going into the show and just, in general to have that news, period. So really good stuff as well. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our next topic here. So we got Santana and Ortiz and Eddie Kingston going up against Daniel Garcia and 2.0. So I don't think my opinions on this match are going to be very favorable, but let's get into this. So I was a little bit surprised that they ended up doing 2 back-to-back multi-man matches. I kind of felt like maybe they should have been spaced out a little bit. I just wasn't expecting this one to immediately follow up that 10-man tag, but whatever, we got it. Now, I will say this, like, I wasn't necessarily in love with this match. It was kind of like whatever's. It was kind of just there. I didn't really think that they had enough to really get me invested into this match, which kind of bummed me out a little bit. And more importantly, I did not like the finish. Like, I get it. Like, I get why they did it. I get the story that they are telling here, but I did not like it. So we essentially see 2.0. They are using they're holding up the tights to essentially get the win, and that is how they get the win during this match. So they cheat to get the win, and we get it. They're heels, all of that good stuff. But I cannot buy 2.0 and Daniel Garcia essentially defeating Santana and Ortiz and Eddie Kingston. Like, I just cannot buy it. And so for me, I really had to, even with the freaking pulling up the tights, even with that, I really had to suspend my disbelief. And I just kind of like saw it and I was like, no, I'm sorry, but I don't like, here's my thing, guys. And I've been saying this, if you've been on my post show for like the longest time, you guys know that I'm the biggest Santana and Ortiz fan, and I want to see them freaking become champions. And I even put a dumb prayer circle on Twitter basically saying like, hey, this is what we got to see in 2022. I want to see Santana and Ortiz essentially become champions. It is beyond long overdue. I still cannot believe they're not even champions yet. But okay, whatever. So that's like the goal. Like, I want to see them become champions this coming year. But so for me, I'm like, I don't want to see them lose to 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. Like, I like all of those guys, but there's different levels here of what we're seeing in terms of like talent. So for me, I could care less, and I did not want to see them take this out during this match because I just didn't care for it. But anyways, after the match, we do see Daniel Garcia get the ring bell, and I believe he hit, who did he hit? Did he hit Santana or did he hit Ortiz? He hit Santana with the ring bell, and as they're essentially doing this attack, Eddie Kingston is like barely, able to get to his knees, etc., like get to his feet. He can't really help his team out. Jericho comes in and he essentially helps his guys out. And there is kind of this, confrontation between Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho. They have sort of found themselves on the exact same boat the last couple of weeks. They haven't been on the same page. They don't really want each other's help. They don't really want to be associated with one another. But somehow the last couple of weeks, they have found themselves in the similar, moment in time. So this is pretty interesting. I like what they are doing right now with Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho. Also, Chris Jericho was gone for the last couple of weeks, so it's been a while since just a couple of weeks since we've seen him. So it's good to see Jericho come back. I'm excited for what they're doing with Jericho and Eddie Kingston, but I will say this, guys, but if 2.0 becomes AEW Tag Team Champions before Santana and Ortiz, I am going to riot, okay? I'm going to riot. Now, I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, I will riot. I'm sorry. Honest opinion, that's it. That's my hill that I'm willing to die on right now. We need to have Santana and Ortiz become champions. period. All right, send in your thoughts, guys. How did you feel about this match? How did you feel about what I had to say? Send them in. Let's see what you got here. Let's get some opinions here. This one is from Alex Lynn, who says, I was surprised 2.0 won, but the ending made sense. Also, 2.0 just also, 2.0 jobs to top teams all the time, so theoretically they should be pretty good, just not top tier, question mark. I think they're decent. Like, they're decent, but my favorite tag team, period, is Santana and Ortiz. So, like, to me, they are on another level. Like, it's just the levels, different levels, guys. Different levels. Let's get through some comments here, and let's get some thoughts on how you guys felt about this. Let me scroll up a second. Once again, guys, feel free to send in. If you guys want to send in a super chat, you can send one in, and I will make sure to read it. But we'll go ahead and pull out some thoughts on this actual match here. M. Caspito says, Denise, you said the Lucha Brothers last year, and what happened? No patience. I did say I wanted the Lucha Brothers to win, and I'm happy the Lucha Brothers won. I was there when they won, and it was literally like the best reaction. But I don't want to keep seeing them in matches against FTR. We saw like a zillion of those, and a lot of them were good, but we saw way too many of them. I want to see Lucha Brothers against a bunch of other people, including Santana and Ortiz. So yeah. That's how I felt about that. Andrew Cook says, at first I saw this match and just as just a chance to enjoy Proud and Powerful on TV, and I wasn't a fan for the finish for hurting Proud and Powerful either, but the ending setting up maybe Kingston and Jericho was interesting. See, that was good. Now, I hope that this doesn't once again push Proud and Powerful, freaking Santana and Ortiz to the shadows. Like, I don't want them to be, casted aside. I feel like for a lot of these storylines, obviously, with the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle, they were part of a major story, but as we mentioned when we were talking about Sammy Guevara, the major focus of that story really was Chris Jericho and MJF. So I don't want to continue seeing them sort of be pushed to the side and kind of be like the background of all of this. I want to see them, front and center, everybody. Front and center. All right, let's go through a couple more comments. We actually got a super chat from Heidi Ho 77 who says, I'm just about ready to talk about Brandi and Dan and forget, I was gonna say Danny Lambert. Oh my gosh, Dan Lambert. Why does this always happen? We're going to talk about that in just a second. So just a little bit more patience because that one's going to be a hot topic for sure. Let's go through a couple more. Dale Irazi says, Denise wants no taste of 2.0. Don't worry, they're supposed to be mid-card jobbers. I don't want to be mean to them, guys. I don't want to be mean. It's just that I just did not like them winning this match today, okay? I'm sorry. I just did not feel it for today. All right, so I know that people are not going to, I'm always afraid, like, I'll be honest, guys, like, I'm always brutally honest on these podcasts, and sometimes it is terrifying to say that you don't like something because people will be like, how dare you not like this? And I'm just thinking, I'm so sorry I didn't like it. And that's how I felt about this one. So apologies to everybody that felt otherwise. All right, let's get into this. MJF and Spears and Wardlow, they have a backstage segment, and Wardlow is looking like the sad girl in the club. Somebody tell Wardlow there's no crying in the club. Okay, so we've been talking about this now for weeks, man. God, maybe even for months at this point. But it is officially, we are on the verge, this volcano, and the volcano that I'm talking about is Wardlow, is finally, on the verge of erupting here, especially after MJF is just putting additional pressure on him, kind of treating him like garbage and really being very, very selfish, not being a real friend to Wardlow, only caring about himself. So we have backstage, we have Wardlow sitting down looking all sad. MJF is cutting this promo alongside Spears, who is his hype man, who's, there for MJF being his very, very best BFF, a lot of bromance there. But MJF kind of goes off and he basically says how, he's the very best, your typical MJF promo. But then he kind of adds a little bit more to this. Every week he always adds something a little bit different, but he basically says, he brings up not being treated well in AEW and says that other companies would treat him better. And this leads into him mentioning the 2024 bidding war. Now, I know we're getting into a new year, 2022, but I have a feeling we're going to be hearing about this bidding war for the next few years, which is going to kind of be crazy. Like maybe he like mentioned it now because it was of topic. This was something that, has been talked about on wrestling news sites and all of that. Even Tony Khan was asked about it in an interview, how he felt about the reports that WWE was, looking at MJF, and Tony Khan basically saying, thank you, keep talking about MJF because it gives us buzz and all of that. So I feel like he mentioned it because it was a little bit, in terms of the timeline, it fits perfectly with what was being done in these interviews, what's being, talked about in the news, what's being reported. And then he goes ahead and brings up, the bidding war of 2024. After this, MJF basically tells Wardlow that he needs to start racking up these wins so that he could qualify for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. And then telling him that if he does win, that Wardlow then needs to relinquish the title shot to MJF. And obviously Wardlow's not having any of this. He's just listening to his BFs. And before you know it, before he can even say anything, Mark Sterling comes in and raids this super long contract that Wardlow had originally signed and the deal that he has with MJF LLC. So this was pretty funny. Really good stuff here. I enjoyed it, guys. We know that Wardlow's eventually going to snap. I don't know when he's officially going to do it, but he's officially going to snap. He's had it. He's had it with MJF. After this, he does have a quick squash match with Colin Delaney. He hits him with a killer clothesline, gets him with 4 power bombs, and gets the win. But we got a super chat from Roberto Arsenal. Thank you so much to Roberto, who says, I really can't predict who will win the TBS bout. Ruby or Jade, ? I just want a good match. Whenever Punk beats MJF, he will blame Wardlow. So we'll talk about the TBS Women's Championship in just a second, since we will be talking about the match itself, the semifinals match between Jade Cargill and Thunder Rosa, and also now that we officially know who's in the finals. And then in terms of like Wardlow, see, like, that's the thing. Like, we've talked about this a couple of times, and I have mentioned this before previously, but I do think that if MJF, and obviously we still don't know what's going to happen with Bryan Danielson and Adam Page. That's a whole question mark within itself. But if MJF, if he is the next person going up for the AEW World title, I do think that he should be defeating CM Punk. But if he's not, then he should not be defeating CM Punk and just go into that program with Wardlow. So I think depending on like what happens in these other, what happens with the world title picture and what they're planning with MJF is whether or not he should or shouldn't beat CM Punk. So we'll talk about that in a second, but thank you so much to Roberto for sending in that super chat. Thank you. We also have another one from George Sandoval. Thank you so much to George, who says, a little late joining tonight's Dynamite was not bad, not great. Love the Red Dragon theme. I can honestly see an angle of the Bucks and Cole versus Red Dragon and Gargano. Dude, another question mark. We still do not know what Johnny Gargano has planned. Obviously, he's just a couple of months away. God, a couple of weeks away, really, from becoming a father. We don't know if he's going to return to WWE, if he's going to go, take time off to be a father and be with his family, or if he is going to go to AEW or go to another promotion. We still do not know. But either way, thank you so much to George for sending in this super chat. I appreciate the love and the support. All right, guys. And this is a comment from Duke's Catastrophe, who says, I hope Wardlow never snaps. It's just a decade of all of us going, they've been teasing a Wardlow snap hard for the past few weeks, any day now. You know what this reminded me of? Have you ever seen those like couples that have been married for centuries? Like, we all know it. Like, my grandparents are like this, okay? And they like constantly fight, right? And they're always mad and getting mad at each other. And you always see like one person going off, and it's usually like the wife that tends to go off a little bit more, and usually the husband's just like sitting there, thinking about life and all the decisions that he made that went wrong. That would be hilarious if they did that, like with MJF and Wardlow, where like for years you just see Wardlow just like, I mean, that's not going to happen, but it would kind of be just a little bit hilarious. Although I'm pretty sure a lot of people would be pretty irritated by that point. All right, guys, let's get into, it's time. It is time, everybody. Here we go. Let's do this. You guys all know what's next, and I want to get your thoughts. I want to get your opinions. This is the one where people are going to be 50-50 on how they felt about this. And this is the Brandi Rhodes, Dan Lambert promo exchange. Based on what I have seen just on Twitter, I have been seeing that either people liked it, they thought that it was funny. There was people that tolerated it where they were like, all right, like it was okay, but it really wasn't for me. And then there were people that absolutely hated this. Now, I feel that I am the person that tolerated this. Like, I didn't love this segment, but I didn't hate it either. But before I talk about my feelings on that, we will recap what actually happened. Heidi Host 77 sends in a super chat saying, Brandi, Brandi, Brandi. I don't know if that meant that's a good thing or a bad thing. But thank you so much to Heidi Host 77 for sending in a super chat. Okay, let's do this. All right, so Dan Lambert comes out and he's there with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. He talks smack on Cody Rhodes. He talks a lot of smack on Brandi, basically insinuating that she is and I don't want to say this word on the air because it's a terrible word, but he insinuates that she is a WHORE. I didn't say it, he did. That's what he insinuated in this promo. And then he insinuates, or not insinuates rather, but he says that her name is that of a stripper's name. Okay. So he continues to talk smack on Brandi. He makes fun of Cody Rhodes, what he calls a transformer tattoo, basically saying that it's so bad that even Mike Tyson thinks it looks stupid. This is according to Dan Lambert. I do not know if Mike Tyson said this. I don't think he did, unless it was like a story that I completely missed. And then he says that AEW fans are idiots, but even the idiots don't want to buy into the shit show that Cody is trying to sell. So basically talking about the fact that even the AEW fans have essentially turned on Cody Rhodes. Okay, so then Brandi Rhodes comes out, and I wasn't expecting this. I mean, I wasn't expecting any of this. So Brandi Rhodes comes out, and here's the thing. I do want to give credit to Brandi Rhodes, all right? Because Brandi is good on the mic. When she is given a mic, she shows a lot of personality. She has zero filter, and she just goes for it, man. Like, when she says something, I believe her. I would never, ever want to be in a promo war with Brandi because she would eat me alive, okay? Eat me alive. She is good on the mic at what she does. Okay, with all of that being said, she comes in and she basically tells Dan Lambert that he is a less talented version of Paul Heyman, that he's a less talented version on the mic than Paul Heyman. So I wasn't expecting her to really even say Paul Heyman's name, but she did. And then Lambert basically says that he prefers Jim Cornette. That was another thing that I wasn't expecting. So we kind of had all of that going. And then this gets even more. We have Brandi Rhodes basically saying that she says, quote, "When was the last time you got beat up by a woman and didn't have to pay for it?" So she's basically, you guys all know what she's alluding to when she talks about that. And so they kind of go a little bit back and forth on that. And this gets to the point where then she hits him with a line basically saying, you're a black belt, but I'm a black bitch. That's what Brandi Rhodes says. She takes off her shoes. She's ready to fight Dan Lambert. This is what she wants to do. She wants to fight him. And before they can actually, come to blows, Dustin comes out to have Brandi Rhodes' back. So this was definitely, this was something else, guys. This was definitely something else. I don't think anybody predicted that we would be getting this face-off between Brandi and Dan Lambert. Now, to me, the reason why I didn't love it was because this is not for me. Like, this is not my kind of entertainment. Like, I just couldn't get behind it. Like, when I know that I love something, I will know it. Like, I will be like, yes, like, this is it. I'm so behind it. But then I know that I didn't like it. And the reasons why I didn't like it was because I'm not necessarily, I think it was confusing. I think it was a confusing segment for the fans too, because they didn't really know how to react. They're not going to cheer Dan Lambert. Dan Lambert has been getting massive amounts of heat, and Brandi Rhodes is not necessarily liked by a lot of people. We already know this. She's not liked by a lot of people. So that carries when she comes out on AEW. She doesn't necessarily get a favorable response. And so I think the people were a little bit like confused, like, oh, we don't want to cheer for Dan Lambert, but we also don't want to cheer for Brandi Rhodes. So I think this kind of left people sort of feeling left out of this, where they didn't feel included in on this. Like, they couldn't get behind either person, because it was kind of like, you have reasons not to like Dan Lambert and you have your reasons not to like Brandi Rhodes. So I think for me as a viewer, I kind of felt like left out a little bit, like, oh, I can't really get behind this because I don't really know who to cheer for. Like, I don't want to cheer for either person. And then I think a lot of the content that was mentioned, based on what I have seen from people that have written to me on social media as to why they haven't liked it, they didn't like all of these, sort of, I don't know how to word this, but they don't like all of these basically shaming sort of sex workers types of stuff, because there was a lot of that when you bring up strippers, when you bring up paying to get beat up. I mean, I don't know what people do on their free time, but people did not like that being brought into this promo. And that was one of the criticisms and backlash that I saw from people that did not like this. Now, in terms of like both of them being good on the mic, they are good, but I just don't think the content of what they were actually saying was anything to really be like, oh my God, I love this. Like, this wasn't, Eddie Kingston, CM Punk. It wasn't MJF, CM Punk, that sort of stuff. So I think that's like where I'm at with this. But I also have this other side of this where I like things that are such a mess that I'm like, dude, when things are so bad and you're kind of interested in that because it's so bad. That's kind of how I also felt about this. And then I think too, like, it's just like, unfortunately, because a lot of people don't like Brandi, I do think that was a huge, that was really like probably the biggest reason why I think a lot of this got backlash, on top of the verbiage that was the lines that were used during this segment. So there you go. I kind of gave a little bit of my explanation here. So send in your thoughts, guys. How did you feel about this? What did you like? What didn't you like? Etc. Did you love it, like it, or hate it? Send your thoughts in. This one is from Launchpad, who says, oh, thank you so much for sending in a super chat, by the way. Sends in Brandi and Lambert equals heat. Yeah, major heat. And we know, and I like both of these people, okay? But we know that they got heat from the fans for different reasons. Thank you to Launchpad for sending in a super chat. Heidi Ho sends in a super chat saying, I need Mad Brandi on my TV every week. When she's mad, it's believable. She sells it very, very well. Thank you so much to Heidi Ho 77. And we got another super chat from Hagen. Thank you so much to Hagen, who says, Cody is the stardust that stole Christmas, and Brandi was recycling her Jade Cargill promo for Lambert at the start. That's her thing now. I don't really remember her Jade Cargill promo. I think, wasn't she just calling her like a bitch or something, like multiple times? I don't even remember that promo. Like, I have like a blur of the memory of that promo, but I remember that one kind of being like very feisty as well. Like, she's good at being feisty. Thank you so much to Hagen for also sending in that super chat there. Let's get some comments. This one is from the Centrovert, who says, Lambert fired back with Jim Cornette. We all know Cornette. Oh, I don't know how he feels about Brandi, actually. I really legitimately do not know. But basically that they were playing to all the criticisms from their enemies. Okay, I like that you bring that up, though, because that is a different way to kind of look at it and maybe appreciate it in a different way. All right, let's go through a couple of more comments. Drew Scott says, aside from being middle-aged, Lambert and Heyman have zero in common. I mean, they're both good on the mic, but they're two totally different people with two different, personas. I don't feel like you can compare them. This one's from Alex, who says, I thought Brandi was hilarious, but I was sure Cody was going heel, and putting him against match of the year. Oh my gosh. I was like, match of the year. Men of the year seems like a bad idea. Lambert got a lot of cheers. Because again, I think the people were turned. Also, I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but I got an email from Pro Wrestling Tees or AEW Shop, one of those. I got an email, and they're doing, and this was the first time I saw it, they're doing a Cody Rhodes t-shirt where it says, like, when you're voting and you can check off a box. So it's like a little box, and a little box that is not checked and it says babyface, and a little box that's not checked that says heel. And then there's a little box that is checked with the Cody Rhodes logo and winner. And that's the box that's checked. So at this point, guys, I said this, weeks ago already, but they are riding the wave of, people not necessarily getting behind Cody Rhodes. The whole babyface heel thing now is definitely part of the story. It's part of the work, essentially. All right. And this is a comment from Josh, who says, I prefer the Brandi Lambert promo than the CM Punk one, taking shots at Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was uncalled for. Tim Tebow is an awesome person and supports veterans. We'll talk about that in a second, because you are not the first person to send in a comment like this. I have definitely seen that people did not like this line. There was a very, very obvious shot that CM Punk could have taken, but chose not to take that. I think had he taken a different shot at this, I think people would have popped for it maybe a lot more. Haj Gulashi sends in a comment saying, everything to do with Cody right now feels designed to make the crowd not know what to do. Yep, I can't disagree with that there. This is a comment from Shawnee Boy, who says, the whole segment was really stupid. It was just a sea of boos and confusion. A lot of confusion, and that's primarily how I felt. Not confusion because I didn't know what was happening. I mean, that too. It's just more confusion of, who the hell do I cheer for? What do I do here? We got a super chat from Amir F. Thank you so much to Amir, who says, not your cup of tea. Understandable. I enjoyed it. Yep. I think a lot of people will probably relate to that. Like, there's going to be people that, that's what it is, guys. It's entertainment. There's going to be things you're interested in, things that you're not interested in. Some things are for some people. Some things are not for some people. All right, let's go through a couple more comments, guys. If you want to get your voice heard, your opinion read, send in a comment. I'm going to try to pull some up. If you want to make sure that it gets 100% read on the air, you can send in a super chat at 4W Online. Does allow me to keep all monies that I make from super chats, so they do help me out. All right, let's go through a comment on, let's see what else we got here. This one's from Justin Martin, who says, I really enjoyed that a lot more than I thought I would. Have enjoyed a promo between these two. It was great, unscripted fun. Most entertaining thing Brandi has done. Green Sanity says, Denise, Brandi is nowhere near Lambert on the mic. WTF. I didn't say that she was near Lambert on the mic. I just said that they were both perfectly good and acceptable. All right, let's go through a couple more here. And this is from Patrick Spear, who says, actually loved Brandi's part, but what Dan Lambert said was just uncomfortable and outdated, especially in 2021. It just doesn't sit right. On stooping on to unprogressive views was cheap heat. And this is from Lord Pelagius, who says, I don't understand what this was set out to achieve. Are we booing Brandi or Lambert or both? Because if this was to get over Brandi, it failed. I mean, she is a heel by association with Cody for sure. I think we were meant to cheer for Brandi. We were definitely meant to cheer for Brandi in this situation and booed Lambert. That's exactly how I read it here. Exactly how I read it. We were supposed to cheer Brandi because there was nothing that she said that I think would necessarily constitute her as a heel per se. We got a super chat from Heidi Ho who says, I didn't like Brandi before. I love her now. And Lambert got heat on the internet. Job well done. Best segment on the whole damn show. Let's go through a couple of more comments here. And let's get some more thoughts. We've got so many different opinions on all of this. All right, let's go through a couple more. And yeah, all right, cool. I think we'll get to the rest of it because people want to talk about the other stuff too. The freaking Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow stuff. We'll get there in a second. All right, I'll read one final comment and then we'll move on. This one's from Pro Wrestling Fan who says, I think Brandi's great, but people hate her for no reason. When I'm watching Dark in the live chat, people say she can't wrestle, but she came back a couple of weeks ago and she's way better than before pregnancy. Yep. Some people are fans of people. Some people are not fans of people. All right, guys, here we go. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, so before I do move on to the next topic, everybody, I just want to remind you all, if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to F4W Online. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you do. We have well over surpassed 80,000 subscribers, and we are making our way over to 100K. Join the family, subscribe. There is content being posted up pretty much every single day on here. If you're listening to the audio version of this, make some time to head on over to YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, make some time to head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button. Additionally, for those of you who are new to the show and don't know my schedule just yet, I am live on Tuesdays where I talk about NXT 2.0. I also recently had an interview with Shawn Michaels, which was really, really exciting to do, and my biggest interview of the year. You can check that out over on youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. But other than that, I am also live here on Wednesdays, like I am today, chatting about AEW Dynamite. And then on Friday, I will be here on Friday to talk about not this Friday, because this Friday's New Year's Eve, guys, and I kind of want to spend time with my family. But next Friday, I will be back to talk about SmackDown and Rampage. And obviously, this week there is no SmackDown. They're just doing like a top moments thing, or they're doing something. I don't know what they're doing, like a review show or something. Moments thing. I don't know. But we are having a New Year's Rampage, but I'll probably just tweet about that. All right, guys, let's continue on. What is after this? Let's do this. The TBS Women's Championship match. The semifinals match with the winner going on to face Ruby Soho in the finals. And we got Thunder Rosa versus Jade Cargill. So we've been talking about this for weeks now since this got started. And for the most part, it is, so what I had originally wanted, like my thing that I really wanted was Thunder Rosa versus Ruby Soho, with Thunder Rosa winning, right? That was my pick. But once I figured out that wasn't going to happen, I figured that it was going to be Jade Cargill versus Nyla Rose. But then once I realized that wasn't going to happen, I figured, okay, it's going to be Jade Cargill versus Ruby Soho. So I think at this point, I kind of had a feeling that it was definitely going to be Jade Cargill. We've been talking about this. I think they've made it very clear that this bout was essentially made for her. And given the way that they have been booking Jade Cargill, haven't given her a loss or anything like that, I think it was very clear that she was going to be the person to essentially be holding up the TBS Women's Championship. So even though, she hasn't won just yet, she did defeat Thunder Rosa, and it was a pretty exciting match. And we'll talk, oh my God, there's still so much more to talk about with that. Okay, so Thunder Rosa, Jade Cargill. We get this match. This was kind of fun. We got Thunder Rosa essentially coming out dressed as Wolverine. That was pretty cool. She looked great. We also had a nice little match here. We had Thunder Rosa essentially selling the back. She had the tape on her back, and we saw Jade Cargill essentially target her back throughout this match. We saw Thunder Rosa go after Jade Cargill's leg, and we kind of saw them both, beating each other up, really trying to wear each other down. But in the end, Thunder Rosa was essentially screwed. She was screwed because she was hit. I don't even know what they hit her in the face with, but she was hit in the face by a mystery person dressed all in black with a mask and everything. We really could not make out who this person was. I legitimately did not know who this person was. I was like, what the hell? Like, who can it be? And I even started thinking, like, who is it? And I didn't expect it. But it ended up being Mercedes Martinez. This was revealed after the match. Thunder Rosa went in to attack Jade Cargill, but instead, obviously, the mystery person comes back into the ring. They both attack Thunder Rosa, and Thunder Rosa is pretty much left there to fend for herself. Mercedes Martinez reveals herself, and then afterwards we get Ruby Soho running in to help make the save here. So this was essentially them screwing Thunder Rosa. So they did protect her. This is now her second time getting pinned by Jade Cargill. So they did protect Thunder Rosa in this. So even though I knew Jade Cargill was going to win, I'm glad that they didn't do a clean, I'm glad that she lost the way that she did. The way that Thunder Rosa lost, I'm glad that they at least protected her by it being, by Jade Cargill having an unfair advantage. So with all of that being said, Jade Cargill, Ruby Soho is going to be the finals of the TBS tournament. It's definitely going to be Jade Cargill. Like, I do not think it's going to be Ruby Soho. This belt looks to have been made for Jade Cargill. Additionally, at least we finally have a storyline for Thunder Rosa in which she's going into, because after the Britt Baker stuff, things kind of died down. She was brought into the TBS tournament, but after that, we didn't really know what direction they were going to go with Thunder Rosa. She's been the person that a lot of people were like, even though we would like her to win the TBS tournament, in a way, a lot of people didn't want her to win because they want her to actually win the AEW World Championship title, because that is the story that her and Britt Baker, were her history with Britt Baker is why people want to essentially see Thunder Rosa go after the AEW World Championship. So at least now we got a program for Thunder Rosa. We know she's going to get into this program with Mercedes Martinez because Mercedes Martinez screwed her. So at least we know and have a follow-up story for Thunder Rosa. So I am glad that out of this came this. Additionally, we got Mercedes Martinez, who is now part of the AEW roster. Tony Khan officially tweeted that she is all elite. And so this is interesting, guys. So as you all know, Mercedes Martinez was released by WWE. And since her release, she has appeared in places like Impact Wrestling, GCW, WrestlePro, Shimmer, WrestleCade, Warrior Wrestling. She just wrestled Thunder Rosa at Warrior Wrestling. And now she is officially with AEW. One of the things that we have been talking about when it comes to the AEW women's division is essentially needing women that are a little bit more, more experienced, more advanced, more of these veteran women. So having Mercedes Martinez in this, mix, along with people like Ruby Soho and Thunder Rosa, who all really know how to do this thing that we call wrestling. I do think that having somebody like Mercedes Martinez on the roster is going to be a benefit to a lot of the girls that maybe aren't at that, aren't at the level that they should be already. So I think that she will help them out and help some of the greener girls get a lot better. So I do think that having Mercedes Martinez be part of the roster is a good thing. So it was nice to see her introduction. It played in well, protected Thunder Rosa, and now we have a story, a follow-up story for Thunder Rosa and Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez. So let's get into this, guys. What did you think of Thunder Rosa versus Jade Cargill? How do you feel about Jade Cargill moving on in the TBS Women's Championship Tournament? Do you think that Jade will be winning, or will it be Ruby Soho? And what did you think about Mercedes Martinez? We kind of got a lot to unpack here. Let's get some thoughts here. Let's see. This one is from Edgar Dominguez, who says, "Great job this year, Denise. Hardest worker. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I counted how many podcasts I did. I did over 300 this year. I think I'm going to definitely top that number next year. Next year, it's going to be a whole lot more than 300. But thank you so much to Edgar Dominguez for sending in that very kind comment here. Let's get into some more comments here. This is a super chat from Edgar Dominguez, who says, Thunder Rosa is super over. I can't believe she didn't win. Thunder Rosa, dude, she is freaking over. So I've been doing these things on Twitter where it was like twice where I had people like quote retweet people that they were big fans of, and it was two totally different things. Like one of them was for women's wrestling, women's wrestlers, and one of them was for like their favorite like performers of the end of the year or something like that. And I cannot tell you how many times Thunder Rosa's picture was popping up on my timeline. Like so many people. I really hope that AEW, sees that. And I'm sure they do and utilizes that because, Britt Baker has, after that match with her and Britt Baker, I think that Britt Baker kind of, she just shot up to the sky. She, became AEW Women's Champion. She's, getting all of the rewards and accolades from that. And I also want to see, Thunder Rosa in that exact same picture. So hopefully, again, now that we know what her follow-up program is going to be, hopefully we make our way there because at the end of the day, there's still, we're going to be seen at some point, I don't know when, but at some point on a main stage, on a pay-per-view, we are going to be seeing Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. Like that has to happen because if that doesn't happen, that's leaving money on the table. That is a money match. And I think the biggest women's match that they have in AEW right now that they could possibly do. So thank you to Edgar Dominguez for sending in that very kind super chat. We got another one from Ike Moore. Thank you so much to Ike who sends in a comment saying, I'm torn with who I want to win. I feel it could elevate Jade, but I also feel the crowd loves Ruby so much. Tony, what are you going to do? You'd be surprised. I feel like I'm seeing more people, especially like on my timeline. I'm seeing more people wanting Jade Cargill to win. Like Jade Cargill's a lot more popular than I had originally assumed. Like she's more popular than I think any of us thought she was. Like whatever level of popular you think she is, she's more popular. She's getting over with the people. So good for her. Also in terms of like Ruby Soho, obviously she's like a very lovely person. So everybody loves her too. And Ruby has never held a championship, on television, on national television. And when I did my interview with Ruby Soho, that was one of the things that she mentioned to me, like, hey, winning the TBS Women's Championship and being the first ever TBS Women's Champion, like there's a lot that is kind of riding on this for Ruby Soho because again, she's never held a championship on national television in like all 11 years of her career. And then on top of that, she also, everybody wants to be the first. And this was something that she talked about with me in her interview was, being the first, nobody ever forgets the first. So not just being champion to validate her career and validate everything that she has done, but also to be the first because you are the one that is, memorized the more. Memorized? People don't forget you. That's what I'm trying to get at. Thank you so much to Ike Moore for also sending in this super chat. I really thank you for that. Okay, and we got another one from Eric Peralta. Thank you so much to Eric who says, Thunder Rosa versus Mercedes Martinez, ? Take my money. It's happening, bud. It is happening. I mean, they haven't announced it, but it's definitely going to happen. I mean, I'm assuming it's definitely going to happen. All right. Let's go through a couple more comments here. This one is, we got a super chat from 554K. Thank you so much for sending in the super chat saying, I was rooting for Thunder Rosa, but I agree with you. I'm glad it was not a clean loss for Thunder Rosa, and I think she will be champion one day soon. She's got to be. I would be shocked if in like the next year or 2 years, she's not AEW Women's World Champion. I would be shocked. And probably like a little bit bummed out, but also Britt Baker's doing such a great job as champion too. She's also a great champion, but that's good. You want to have multiple options for a champion. We got a comment from Pig Boy Neo who says, yep, Thunder Rosa needs her revenge now and then get a program with Britt. If she is not champion by the end of the year, Tony Khan is, I won't read the rest of the comment, but I get you. I get what you're saying, man. You got to make Thunder Rosa champion. 554K sends in a super chat saying, I meant one day. Sorry for the typo. Thank you. You did not have to send in the super chat for your typo, but I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Let's see what we got here, guys. We got a super chat from R3353M. Thank you so much for sending this in. Who says, take my money mostly because of the hitman in the back. Also, I love women who know wrestling. Thank you very much. I keep Bret Hart with me here because he is the best and I want to be the best. So I have the best behind me. Thank you so much for sending that in. He brings me good luck. Wait, this side. He brings me good luck. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the super chat. We got a comment, from Al Profe Jr. 88 who says, my expectations were low in terms of this match. Jade Cargill has been making progress in regards to her ring ability. Soho should give Jade her first loss in the finals. So we got some money on people here on Ruby Soho as well. Scotty G says, when you're super over, a la Thunder Rosa, you don't need to put a bout on her. They will someday, and it will be huge when it happens. But for now, it's going to get her main competitors over to be foes. All right, we got some good stuff in here, guys. Thank you so much for sending in all of your thoughts and your opinions. We're going to go ahead and move on from this. So after this, let's get into the CM Punk promo. Jesus, we have so much to talk about. All right, CM Punk promo, his first time in Daly's place. This is kind of a little bit of a, I don't know if I want to say controversy, but there are some people that were a little bit triggered by some of the things that were said. Well, one of the lines that was said here on the show. And I'm curious as to how you guys felt about it. So very nicely, he shouts out Jim Ross. As we all know, we mentioned earlier, surviving cancer, being able to overcome that and then being here on AEW. That is a very nice thing. He also mentions Brody Lee, another very nice thing, because he talks about how, and we already knew this because he had said this at the, he said this in a media scrum and probably even a couple of interviews where he did say that part of the reason why he signed with AEW was because of the Brody Lee tribute show that they did. And he really liked how AEW handled that. So that kind of made him want to be part of the AEW family. So he talks about that. And then he goes on to bury the Twitter trolls, ladies and gentlemen. He says, if you were this is not verbatim, but he basically says, and I'm paraphrasing, that if you were one of those people that were trying to minimize the impact that Brody Lee had in the wrestling industry, that he feels bad for you because you clearly did not know him. And then goes on to bury, the Twitter trolls and, kind of goes a little bit more that direction. And then kind of continues on by redirecting it back to MJF, calling him a Twitter troll as well. And then he says that MJF is, quote, a bigger waste of con money than Tim Tebow. So some people loved this line. They thought it was hilarious. Other people did not like this line and kind of felt that it maybe have been a little bit uncalled for Tim Tebow. And I think the obvious one, had he said the exact same thing, but instead of Tim Tebow's name, he would have said Urban Meyer, I think that it probably would have garnered a better reaction, a bigger pop. Well, I don't even want to say bigger pop because the Tim Tebow line did get a big pop, but I do think the Urban Meyer pop, had he said Urban Meyer, it would have been a little bit more of a, would have been bigger story, I think. So send in your thoughts. Let's see what people are saying. This is a super chat from Launchpad. Thank you so much for sending this in, saying, Rosa versus Jade reminded me of a Bret Hart versus Diesel match, even worked the leg like Survivor Series 1995. I appreciate you sending this in, especially in a super chat. Thank you so much. We got a super chat from Ike Moore who says, my prediction is Punk goes heel by All Out. Face Punk is cool, but 2022 ain't ready for a heel. No holds barred CM Punk. Yeah, I'm cool for whatever, guys. I'm a big CM Punk fan, man. I'll take him with whatever he's coming with. I think at some point he will be turning heel, but obviously right now while he's in this program with MJF, it's not going to happen because MJF is like the heel, and you can't be a bigger heel than MJF at this moment. So maybe afterwards. But thank you so much for sending in this as well. All right, let's see what people are saying, guys. Let's get some thoughts on all of this Tim Tebow stuff. Let's see what people are saying. This one is from Justin who says Tebow got cut before he played a regular season game for the Jaguars, so he really didn't make any con money. Punk obviously should have said Urban Meyer. Yeah. And let's get through some more comments here. All right, this one's from Church of Platinum who says, Tim Tebow uses Christ to make money. He's a money changer. The same people Jesus kicked out of the temple. I don't think I could add much to that comment, honestly. Josh says, agreed, Denise. If Punk mentioned Meyer, no one would have complained about it. No, because Tim Tebow is, from what I gather, a good person. From what I know of Tim Tebow, I gather that he's a good person. Urban Meyer, on the other hand, I've seen the reasons why he is trending and also, reasons as to why he lost his job. Lenny Banner says, I'm fine with the Tebow shot. Tebow was out of football entirely until his former college coach came to Jacksonville. So in a lot of ways, Punk was saying what most of us felt. Tebow was cut almost as quickly as he signed, and he was a waste of time and money. Ooh, I don't know. Ooh. Let's go through a couple more. Andrew Cook says, I was digging the love Punk gave to JR and Brody at the beginning. I'm curious about how he implied that his match with MJF would just happen whenever. They know we're waiting for it. That's true. We still don't have an official time, but keep in mind we still got some time till we make our way to Revolution. Revolution's till March 6th, guys. We got plenty of time here. I'm talking plenty of time. All right, Mint Runner sends in a super chat. Thank you so much. Mint Runner says, Thunder Rosa needs backup. Maybe Renegade Twins backup. Hashtag get some. Hashtag Mission Pro. Thank you so much for bringing in the Mission Pro love in here into the stream. BTW, you guys can watch Mission Pro January 29th on Title Match Network. Myself and Sam Laterna will be doing commentary on that show. Cheap plug. Anyways, so Thunder Rosa did tweet after this that she needs backup. I don't know if we really are going to get backup, but why would she put it out there? Is she leading us somewhere? Are we gonna get, an awesome faction led by Thunder Rosa? That would be phenomenal. I think the Renegade Twins, I think I heard that they did they go to the WWE tryout? I think they did. I don't know what came of that, but I did think that I think they did the tryout. Anyways, thank you so much to Minge Runner for sending in that super chat. All right, guys. We got so many different comments on here, guys. Let's go through some more comments. All right. Duke's Dastrophe, oh my God, says, and I think Urban Meyer is way more sensitive to the Jaguars than Tim Tebow. Let's go through some more comments here. Thank you. They were at the tryout. Thank you so much for confirming this. The Renegade Twins, very lovely girls, BTW. All right, guys. Let's if you want to add to this Tim Tebow line, and whether you loved it, you hated it, or anything else, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section afterwards, whether you watch the show live or whether you watch the replay of it. I am curious to hear your thoughts. Very interesting stuff, guys. Very interesting stuff. All right, guys, let's see. Where are we going from this? I do want to take a second to do a cheap plug, everybody. If you haven't already, please make sure to follow me on Twitter and or on Instagram at _ Denise Salcedo. I am about 1,700 followers away from hitting 50K. I have like 2 days left. It ain't going to happen before 2022. I kind of gave up on that already. So don't make fun of me because I gave up. But if you haven't followed me, feel free to do so. My handle is right here. It always is on the screen at _ Denise Salcedo. Head on over there. I have a Twitter addiction. It's not great. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So after this, we got pretty much a Brian Pillman Jr. interview with Tony Schiavone. Not much to say about this other than we are going to get Brian Pillman Jr. and versus Malachi Black. And not much to say about that. We got a promo between Anthony Bowens and Max Caster doing a promo on Darby Allin. I popped when Anthony Bowens basically called Darby a My Chemical Romance. He said he was going to whoop that My Chemical Romance looking ass. That's what he said. All right, let's get into these matches that were announced, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about the main event, and then we are pretty much done for this show. But we got the AEW Rampage lineup for New Year's Smash this Friday, New Year's Eve. Once again, I will not be here this Friday night because I am going to be with my family on New Year's Eve, but I will probably try to catch the show. I may catch it live. I may not catch it live. If I'm tweeting about it, I'm probably watching it. If I'm not tweeting about it, it's because I'm probably cleaning up after my siblings who will be here. But anyways, we got Cody Rhodes versus Ethan Page. Cody Rhodes will be defending the TNT title. I'm assuming Cody Rhodes is definitely winning that. I do not see him losing to Ethan Page. Darby Allin versus Anthony Bowens. That should be a really fun match. Anthony Bowens is pretty entertaining in the ring. Going in there with Darby Allin, it should be a good time. We have a street fight. Penelope Ford will be teaming up with her friend, the Bunny. And they'll be taking on Ty Conti and Anna Jade. This should be a fun match, especially since it's going to be a street fight. Then we're going to have a technique by Taz, where he is going to essentially break down Hook's red rum. I always say red rum, but it's red rum. Ugh, whatever. Okay, you guys know. So that'll be fun. Then also the AEW Dynamite card for next week. So next week we are officially going to be watching Dynamite on TBS. Do not forget, it will not be on TNT. It will be on TBS, and they are going to be making their official debut for the first Dynamite of 2022. We got a lot of matches lined up for that already. We got Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson Part 2 for the AEW World Championship. That one should be interesting, especially since they're doing the whole judges thing. I have no idea how that's going to work out, but we will find out that day. We're also getting the finals to the TBS Women's Championship Tournament, so Jade Cargill or Ruby Soho will officially be having their crowning moment to become TBS Women's Champion. Then we are also getting Malachi Black versus Brian Pillman Jr. This should be a fun match. I'm pretty sure Malachi Black is just going to kill Brian Pillman Jr. We'll see what happens. Lucha Brothers versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus for the AEW Tag Team titles. That should be a really fun match, full of lots of spots. All right, guys, let's get into this main event. A couple of stuff to talk about here. We got Kyle O'Reilly in his first ever AEW match, his first ever AEW Dynamite match. He is teaming up with his friends Bobby Fish, Adam Cole versus Orange Cassidy and Best Friends. The best way to describe this match is it accelerated. As the match went on, it just got better. We got a really nice, also I do want to say this before we get into the actual match itself. I'm so happy for Kyle O'Reilly. Like he just automatically became so much more cooler now that he's back with his friends. I just feel like he stands out a lot more when he's in a group than with the stuff that he was kind of doing on his own. That's not like burial or anything. It's just like he's just much cooler right now. Cool Kyle is finally cool. Anyway, so we got this match here. It kicked off with Kyle O'Reilly and Trent. I really liked this interaction between both guys. Really good stuff. We saw Trent hit a killer DDT. Trent's looking like better than ever. So I do want to also mention that for a second. I really like the teamwork that we saw between who was it? Teamwork on Orange Cassidy. Oh yeah, it was Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly essentially doing teamwork on Orange Cassidy during this match. I really liked that interaction. We had some nice stuff there. They made their way to the ramp. We saw a couple of cool spots during this portion when they were on the ramp. I like that as well. Orange Cassidy hitting the beach break was cool. He went for the pin on Adam Cole, but it ended up being a near fall. And then for the finish, we do kind of see we see Bobby Fish essentially kick. Okay, so before we get to the finish, sorry guys, I almost skipped this. So we do see Kyle O'Reilly accidentally kick Adam Cole in the face. So that kind of obviously doesn't work out very well for them. And then we have a moment where we see Best Friends hug it out in the ring, but then Brandon Cutler comes in, he runs in, and immediately afterwards we see the Young Bucks come in. They run into this match. They end up super kicking Best Friends. And then afterwards, Kyle O'Reilly uses this opportunity because Bobby Fish ends up kicking Chuck Taylor in the back, and so Kyle O'Reilly ends up getting the win for his team, gets the pin. So Kyle O'Reilly gets the pin in his first match on AEW. So this was like a fun match. It accelerated. It got better as it progressed. A couple of good spots, a lot of aggression. I really liked it. Really big shout out to Trent because I did think Trent was one of the guys that stood out to me the most in this match. Aside from, your Kyles and your Adam Coles and all of that, I thought Trent really did a good job during this. But that was pretty much your main event of AEW Dynamite. And let's see what we got here. Do we got any comments on this one? This one is, did I miss a comment? Actually, I think, did I miss a super chat? Oh no, here it is. Thank you so much. This is from Heidi Ho 77 who says, surely Danielson is going to pay off some judges so he wins the bout without Hangman actually losing. See, I don't think that falls in line with Danielson's character. Like, I know he's a heel, but he doesn't seem like the heel that's going to pay somebody off. So I do not see that happening. I don't know what kind of, like, if Hangman Page loses his title, it's going to be some like big screw job, right? Like that's what they have to do in order to justify it. Like he's not going to lose the title clean if he were to lose. I hope he doesn't. So it's like, are they going to end Bryan Danielson's winning streak, or are they going to have Hangman Page lose? I legitimately have no idea what they're going to do. I don't know. I don't know if I don't want to see Hangman Page lose the bout, but at the same time, it would make for an interesting story, but I don't want to see it either. But I have a feeling like I don't think they would incorporate the judges if they weren't going to screw Hangman Page. So we'll see. Danny Boy says, anyone noticed Pillman improved a bit on the mic, though? He has. He really has. I'm a fan of Brian Pillman Jr. Same with Griff Garrison. They're pretty over as a team, too. Hope to see Julia back soon. But obviously, she got misted in the face and blinded and all of that. So we'll see. All right, guys, there you go. That is the show, everybody. My last and final show of AEW of 2021. That is it. I am done. Finito. I have 2 days essentially of no podcasting, and then I will be back on Fightful to talk about day one. So I'm going to be podcasting by the end of the week. It'll already be day one. It'll already be the new year. But for 2021, that is it. That is a wrap. I am done. Please tell your friends about this show. If you guys enjoy yourselves, if you guys have a good time and you like the show, please tell your friends about it, or just people in general, like on social media, share it, spread the word. That is the way to help this show grow. And I want to have, my goal is to make the show bigger in 2022, because I am just so happy to be part of the F4W team, and I want to contribute, and I want to, make sure that I am, doing my part and putting on an entertaining show for people so that it can continue to grow. Therefore, F4W can continue to grow, and we all grow, and it's all good stuff. So that is one of my goals for 2022, is to grow this show. So if you do like it, please always make sure to, leave a thumbs up and all of that good stuff. It just really, really helps me out, helps the show out, helps everybody out in general. But other than that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful New Year's Eve celebration. I hope that everybody has a wonderful year, and make your goals, do your vision boards. This year is yours. We got a super chat, the final super chat that I'm going to read for this year. Thank you so much to 554K, who says happy early New Year's. Happy early New Year's to everybody, guys. Be safe out there. Enjoy yourselves and have a wonderful New Year's Eve celebration. Goodbye, everybody.